This is Sean Meyer, Digital Content Editor at Municipal World, here at the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities Conference here in lovely Halifax, continuing our series of podcasts with local leaders, including my next guest.
Hi, I'm Rod Gilroy, the Mayor of the Municipality of Cumberland, recently elected on October 19th. My first stint as Mayor of the great municipality. I've been a county councillor there in Cumberland for 4 years now. And so Marie Scott was our first mayor, and I get the fun job of being the second mayor ever in the county of Cumberland, because we recently switched from warden to mayor in 2020.
How does it feel being mayor?
Lots of fun. It really is. It's challenging. Today at lunch I saw one of the questions in this that said, "How do you maintain your work-life balance after you got elected?" And everybody at the table was laughing because my group knows me very well, and they know that I hit the ground running every morning very, very early. And I'm a night hawk, so I stay every night till sometimes midnight working on answering emails and getting back to constituents and council. Was one of the things that I committed to with my group was that I would never go to bed with an unanswered question.
Oh.
So I worked very hard to make sure, like, if a constituent has a problem, I return the call, I return emails, and I tell my council, if you got a problem, if your problem is my problem, and I'll help you fix it the day it happens.
Wow.
And I committed to that, and I think that's as the mayor, you're in a sort of I don't know, how would you say, a team coach situation. You got to coach your team, and you have to know what your team's doing. You have to support your team, and I committed to that, and it's a system that works very well for me. And it also brings out the keenness in my group, because they know that I expect them to match up their work ethic with my work ethic, and that's how we're going to move forward. So
nice. Well, clearly you're busy, and yet you chose to take the time to come to this conference. I'm guessing then you find value in being here.
Absolutely. It's my first time here. Obviously, the last group, we always sent just a couple of people each year. And when the year it was my year to go, I had something going on with my grandkids in Charlottetown, and I couldn't come. And so I had to give the trip to someone else. And so I was really looking forward to getting here this week and not only just meeting the people, but and making connections and whatever. But anytime I go anywheres, I want to learn something new or find out something new. So I'll say to another mayor, like, "Hi, I'm Rod Gilroy," and they introduce themselves, and I say, "What are you guys doing? What's going on in your municipality?" Yeah. And they say, "Oh, well, we're doing this and we're doing that." And I'm thinking, "Oh, wait a minute, that's another good idea for us." And that's what I come to get, is ideas to make our municipality better.
That's fantastic. You are new to your position, but you understand the world that you're in. Local government is not always the easiest of places these days. So what are your thoughts on where local government is today?
I think we're in a spot where really we're sort of, you have to feel your way along. It's a bit of a transition right now, in our group, because we have rookies, and I'm a rookie at being the mayor too, but like fit in, and you have to understand where you fit in this thing. But you also have to understand the part where do you go with the province, and where do you go with feds, and what role do they play in your everyday life as a municipal politician? Well, a lot is the answer, because you need funding for this, or you need a program for that, or whatever. And but I find that at our level, it's I don't want to sort of talk down, put someone else's job down.
Sure.
But I find that at our level, we can get more meaningful change faster,
absolutely,
than we can at any other level of government.
Yeah,
and that's the part that I really like, and I enjoy, because you phone and you've got a problem or you've got an idea, and if your idea, when I hear an idea, I'll say, "Oh, wow, that's a good one.
Sure. Let's
get right at it. I'll take it to the next council meeting, and we do something about it."
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. So I think that role of municipal politicians is a very important one, because it's a low level first step for most people. It's a spot where a lot of big ideas get germinated and get brought to the next levels up. The feds don't often pick up the phone and say to you, "Listen, do you want to build a new sewer plant?" That's not how it goes.
No.
So
I would be interested in that conversation, actually, but you're right. that being said, and you're right about the change that municipalities can create, but municipalities, as I'm sure you were learning, and you probably knew already, have bigger responsibilities than they ever had before. Once upon a time, the mayor never had to worry about homelessness, mental health, drug addiction, all these things that some people think, oh, that's a Halifax problem, that's a Toronto problem.
Yep.
But it's not. It's everywhere.
No.
So how does somebody with the resources you have, and I think you've already alluded to the answer here, how do you deal with these big problems?
Well, it's the same with it's all about wise use of the taxpayers' dollars, and you know what, you can't run a municipality and throw taxpayers' money around to the point where you just keep going back to them and asking them to give more and more and more. You have to be very aware of what you're doing to the taxpayers and how you're representing them and what's going on there. And you know what? And there's a lot of big ticket items always on the go. There's ever evolving things. Like right now, I find too, like in like the world's changing. Municipalities now, with housing is becoming something that's coming on our radar, and like you alluded to with the drugs and the homelessness and all of those socioeconomic problems that come along. And then you turn around and there's more lawsuits and things of that nature, and we have to be very aware of that. Mm-hmm. And like I keep saying to my group, they go, oh, we really have to do this. Well, yeah, let's spend 20 grand, make sure we don't get sued.
Right.
And be proactive. And like we start programs and we monitor them, we document them. We're constantly looking at bylaws and regulations and
sure.
reviews, whatever, So it's some of it is money. It looks like, ooh, why are we spending that on that? But it's money well spent. If it mm-hmm. saves you $1 million, it's the same with, we just started an IT group within our group. We had one person. Now we have two. Okay. And they're one is working on improving, like, for example, our website or IT stuff, all of that kind of stuff. Sure. The other one is doing cybersecurity, which is a big thing for municipalities right now. So you know what? Somebody said, well, why do you need a cyber guy and pay him, just say $70,000 a year for
sure,
not the real number because I don't want to divulge anybody's wages.
Of course.
But say, well, why would you do that? Well, okay, if we don't, we're going to spend $3 million getting our system unlocked, potentially.
Yes, because it's not that's not a Halifax problem. That's an every municipality.
Exactly.
Problem.
No, that's right.
We've seen small municipalities get attacked,
and we've had people in businesses in Cumberland County. Again, I won't say names, but I know one paid $750,000.
Oh wow!
To get their stuff unlocked.
Yeah, it's a real fear,
right?
You gotta be prepared for it.
Yeah, so I mean, those are the kinds of things that are going on that that take a lot of attention, mm-hmm. and people are sort of like, oh, I don't. Why are you? And it makes people ask questions. But anyway,
sure.
I look at it and say it's proactive, it's preventative medicine. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, clearly it's a business problem, but it's also a health and safety problem. You want to protect your residents from all threats.
Yep.
Which is another thing that you recently addressed. A new fire safety agreement, Amherst.
Yes.
I'm guessing, yes, you don't want people's houses burning down, but I think there's more to the reason to go to this partnership than just that.
Well, there's a number of things going on in the fire service in Cumberland County right now. One has to remember, unlike some of the larger centers and like HRM, for example, mm-hmm. I mean, they've got it's a little different. They have one fire department with multiple buildings. In Cumberland County, we have 17 fire departments that are all separate from one another.
Wow.
Not counting our agreement with the town of Amherst.
Sure.
Basically makes 18, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But we just did a fire services review in 2022, and what we had to make a decision on the fire services, whether we were going to be all in or all out. And all out was the option that was going to get us in trouble, in my opinion. You're going to get sued. You have to be at a certain standard. You have to maintain. You have to do and whatever. So we committed to that, and that commitment will set us back about $2.5 million a year for the next 20 years, so that before we get to where we need to be. But we've standardized a lot of things. We revamped renewed the agreement with the town of Amherst, which is a great working thing for us because the town of Amherst goes outside of the boundaries. The fire service in Amherst will service up to 20 miles out from the town, and they'll back us up on all calls. Because the way our system is set up, it's so spread out that it's mutual aid. Almost every call is mutual aid call. So we get one department moving, and then Amherst can fan out to the six departments that are closest to them and be our backup and add manpower immediately. So and we do the same for Amherst. If Amherst has a big issue, our departments all go in. So, so we're building a new fire hall. We just built one in Shinnemakas. And because that one had burnt down in, I think, 2019. And so I spent the first 2 years I was elected as county councilor out there, working on that project, making sure that fire hall got built and redone and whatever. And we're building a new one now in Spring Hill. And we have another fire hall built in Parsboro on our capital budget, like on our 5-year capital budget plan. Whether it's this year, next year, the year after, time will tell. And we get the one in Spring Hill finished first, and and certainly look at those. I mean, because those are what we call hub stations now. Yeah. So I mean, you've probably heard about us in our hub stations and all of that. So anyway, so it's a big commitment, but one that needed to be done.
Absolutely. You are now in this position as mayor, and you are now part of these conversations. Are you getting your mind around what it's like to be at the head of these conversations and how you are literally transforming people's lives by the decisions you're making?
I have a funny little story to tell you from last week about one of my grandsons that sort of sums up the importance of the job, He was in gym class, and the gym teacher phoned me and was laughing so hard he could hardly catch his breath. And he said, Ben's, was being a little lazy in gym today. He said, I was getting after him a bit. And I said, yeah. I said, well, that's good, Mike. Just do your job. That's all fine. He said, no, it's not what happened. It's what he said to me after when I did. I said, what's that? And he goes, he said, he put his finger up. He said, my bumpy is the mayor. And he said, so he said, I just wanted to let you know how important you really are. So,
I mean, he's not wrong.
So I don't know, So the weight of office does wear, very heavily on me, because again, every day it's like you go to bed at night and you go, okay, there's 5 more things that are on the radar for next week that weren't on there for last week, and there's always something going on, and you can
literally not go to bed.
No. But your decisions affect people. And and I always, our CAO, who's been around for a long time, Greg Harrod, said to me the other day, he said, you're going to make a mistake. Sooner or later, it's inevitable. He said, it's not when you make it, it's what you do when you make it and how you fix it.
That's a good point.
And he's been he's a guy with 40 years experience, he's seen it all, done it all, been everywhere. Sure. And, so that's what I say to the people, I say to my council every day, they're like, oh, should we or shouldn't we? They're sort of, humming and hawing a little bit. And I'll say, listen, what's the worst thing to do? Let's try it. Let's be innovative. Let's be cutting edge.
Right.
Let's give it a whirl. And if the people love it, so be it. And if they don't, we'll fix it. We'll either stop it or we'll change it. Right. But you're never going to find out unless you try. And that's what I challenge my group to do. And so. And the taxpayers are that way. The people that put us in office understand. I've always done things the same way in business for 43 years. It's nothing new for me to act and do this the way I'm doing it. Right. And so, so I look at that and I say, be ready to pivot. Be ready to fix your mistakes and fix them quickly. Because as a business owner, I don't get to mull over a mistake in business. Right. Like when a problem hits me and walks into my office, and my company is dependent on me making a quick fix and making the right one every time. And that weighs heavily. And that's pretty good practice to be a mayor, quite frankly. But the problem with politics and municipal politics, as in all politics, is things are a wee little bit slower to grind through than if you're just making a snap decision as a business owner without having to go to a board, without going to a meeting, convene a meeting and ask everybody's opinion and get all the, it's a little different, but it's much the same too. So
I think that's probably a very good lesson to pass on to all your colleagues here at the conference. So Thank you for summing things up quite so nicely. Appreciate
Okay.
your time.
Thank you very much. It was lots of fun to do this, and I'm happy to do it again sometime in the future. So,
Great.
okay. Thank you.